Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Fallen in love with the most beautiful girl in the world. Oh, imagine her beauty. Her smile is like a spring sunrise. Her eyes are like lotus petals. Her hair is like golden tresses. And her laugh, it's like autumn rain. Oh, imagine her beauty. As soon as I saw her, I decided I had to enjoy that beauty as my wife. And so I asked her, I said, darling, will you marry me? How could she refuse? I'm so tall and handsome, humorous, chivalrous, heroic. She said, of course I'll marry you. Come back in 1 week's time. 1 week. Every moment has seemed like 12 years or more. Wherever I look, I see her face. Whatever I do, I think of her beauty. Oh, the wait has been unbearable, but today is the day that I will be able to enjoy that beauty as my own.
Ah, my fine, handsome young man. You seem very eager to meet somebody. Are you not the same young man who begged my daughter's hand in marriage 1 week ago?
I am, and I tell you, I love her.
Well, as a father, I must tell you I'm always concerned for the welfare of my daughter.
Of course, she's a beautiful young girl.
Do you know many men who begged my daughter to be their wife?
Really?
Yes, but somehow or other she's always managed to convince them otherwise.
No, not me. My love is like everyone else's love. My love will last as long as the sun traverses from one horizon to the other, as long as the moon is casting her soothing rays on my burning heart. My love will never die.
Well, you do seem like a very determined young man.
I am.
Perhaps she will not manage to dissuade you, if your love is really true.
My love is more true than the sky is blue. And anyway, it's time to go.
Well, anyway, you run ahead. You are a young man. I will perhaps see you later.
Yes, you are rather old and slow.
You do seem a little impatient.
You're damn right. See you.
My daughter is very beautiful, but she is also very intelligent as well. We shall see how true his love really is.
coming. The beauty of my life. I'm looking for a beautiful young lady. Where is that beauty?
I am that beautiful young lady.
No, I don't think you quite understand. The beauty I'm talking about, she has skin like a peach. She has a form like an apple tree. Oh, she's so... Oh, where is that beauty? Tell me.
I am that beautiful girl you fell in love with just a week ago.
No, you're an old hag.
If you really want to see my beauty,
Yes.
you'll find her waiting for you over there in the corner of the bedroom.
In the bedroom.
Yes.
Darling? Oh, she's resting underneath that sari. She must be exhausted after all those sleepless nights waiting for me. Darling? Darling, I love you. That's not my beauty, that's a bucket full of horrible, foul-smelling substances.
Don't you understand? My fine, handsome little man?
No.
I am the beautiful girl that you fell in love with just a week ago. Since that time, I've taken very strong laxatives and vegetables. And in that pot over there, in the bedroom, I've collected all the stool, all the urine, all the mucus, and all the vomit. Do you still think you can enjoy my beauty now?
Actually, no.
Just before you go anywhere, my fine, handsome, tiny little man, perhaps you can learn a lesson from all of this. The next time your gaze falls upon the beautiful form of a woman, perhaps you can remember that beauty is nothing but the transformation of those vile substances you found over there in the pot. Just a week ago, you begged for my hand in marriage. You spoke to me of love. You swore a lifelong allegiance. And now, after just a little adjustment, you want to reject me and my beauty as detestable.
She's right. This body, in which I, the soul, am living, is just like a contraption. A house. My bones are like pillars and crossbeams covered with skin and hair and nails and filled with horrible, disgusting substances. Who but a fool like me would think that he could find pleasure or love in such a contraption as this?
True love? Does anybody really know what true love is? We hear so many people speaking of love. So many people singing of love. So many people falling in love. But until we know who we are, and until we know what we are, there can be no question of true love. No question at all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So there we have our drama, Liquid Beauty. Can anyone understand the meaning or the moral behind the story? If they can come and explain it to me, because I'm not quite sure yet. Well, basically it's the story of a man, a typical man or a typical person in the material world who falls in love with a beautiful woman and falls in love with the beauty of the material body. But we can see that actually this man's love was very much conditional. People talk about unconditional love. But you can see that generally in the material world, the love that we have is very much based on certain conditions, So someone becomes attracted to someone else's body because of its beauty, its youthfulness, and everything's looking very nicely. We can see that as soon as this woman's body was not so beautiful, it wasn't so appealing to the man's senses, then very quickly his love disappeared, and then he became actually very disdainful like that. So we can see that if in the material world, if our love is actually based on conditions and it's based on the short-lived temporary beauty of the material body, then we can see that the love and the relationships that we have are going to be very, very short-lived, and they're going to be very, very dissatisfying, you see. So you can see that this is more and more so nowadays, because you can see that the material body is changing all the time. It's going through many different stages. So it's explained that the material body goes through 6 different stages. The first one is that the body is born, and then usually cries a lot, and you have to change its nappy and things like that. If any mothers are here, they can probably understand that. So then the body remains for some time. It grows. Some bodies grow more than others. Some people are very tall, some people are very small. But then the body produces some byproducts, like children, like that. And then eventually the body starts to dwindle, and then the body starts to die. So nothing in the material world is free from these 6 changes. Every living entity goes through these 6 stages. So we can understand that the body is changing all the time, but actually the real person doesn't actually change. As it's explained in the Bhagavad Gita by Krishna, that the material body is like a city consisting of 9 gates, and that the living entity or the soul is residing in that city. So of course, what are these 9 gates? So the 9 gates in the material body, we have 2 eyes, we have 2 nostrils, we have 1 mouth, we have 2 ears, we have 2 other gates as well, but we won't talk about those. I'll leave that to your own imagination. But then the living entity, or the person living in this city, he's just a resident within the city. He's not actually the city itself. So we can understand that the soul is actually remaining the same, but the body is changing all the time. It's just like we can understand, because the change is very, very imperceptible. It's explained in the Bhagavad Gita, because like a mother may have her child, but because she sees the child every day, then she doesn't notice that the child's changing. But when maybe her auntie or the auntie of the child comes by, and she only sees the child every 1 or 2 years or something like that. So when she comes through, then she says, "Oh my, how your baby's grown," But the mother, she doesn't notice, because these changes are taking place imperceptibly or without us noticing, you see. But when we analyse over a longer period of time, we can see that the body is changing all the time, but we still remain the same, because we may remember when we were 5 years old and we were playing in a sand pit, making sand castles, and we may remember when we were 10 years old and we were winning, the 100-metre dash and sports day, like that. We may remember when we were 20 years old. So I'm still existing because I can remember all those things, but the body that I had when I was that age, that's not existing anymore. That body that I had when I was 5 years old, that was full of youthful energy, that's not existing anymore. The body I had when I was 15 years old, that's not existing anymore. But I'm still existing because I can remember those things. So certainly when we get to an older stage of life, and some people in the audience may be coming to an older stage of life, then we can understand that actually the material body, it cannot do the things that it used to do, we may still have the desire to, run a marathon, but when we get to 80 years old, unless you're Jimmy Savile or someone like that, he still seems to be able to manage to do the marathon. But you can't run the same, you can't do the same feats. So the material body has its limitations, it's temporary, the youthfulness is temporary, the energy is temporary, but we're still existing, we still have those same desires. So it's explained that this living entity within the body is the soul, and this soul is 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair, and it's residing within the region of the heart. So someone may argue and say, well, what's the proof of the soul? I can't see the soul. But a nice example is given in the Bhagavad Gita, that the real symptom of the soul being in the body is that the body has consciousness. So the difference between a material body being living and a material body being dead is that a living body has consciousness. Just like you may stub your toe like that, and it feels painful, you can feel because there's some consciousness within the body. But you can, chop the toe off a dead person's body and they're not going to complain because there's no consciousness there. We don't recommend it. But then, so we can understand that, because the example is given just like the sun, like, I'm not sure about in Chorley, but certainly in Scotland, you don't always see the sun in the sky, because it's obscured by clouds. Do you ever experience that in Chorley? Do you ever get much sun in Chorley? No? We don't get too much in Scotland either, it's usually obscured by the clouds. But because it's actually light outside, it's daytime, there is some light, and we accept that, okay, the sun must be there, I can't see it, but because it's light outside, the sun must be there. So simply because the body has consciousness, we may not be able to see the soul, but because the body has consciousness, this is that youthful energy we were talking about. Not everyone has that anymore, So because the soul is there, then actually the body has consciousness. So this is the proof of the soul. So it's also explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita that just because the body is changing all the time, it's explained that it's like a person who changes their garments or changes their clothes and they become old and useless. Like that when you get lots of holes in your clothes, then generally you throw them away, right? Although not so much nowadays. Usually you have to pay an extra £200 if you want a pair of jeans with holes in them nowadays. It costs you more, right? That's the age we live in, everything's topsy-turvy. But generally when someone gets holes in their clothes, then they discard them and they throw them away. And it's not such a big deal, you get a new pair of trousers or you get a new pair of shoes. So simply this body is going to become old and useless and it's not going to work so well as it did. So simply when this body comes to a point where it's totally useless and it can't do the same things anymore, then the soul moves into another body. Or another example is just like a car. You may have a vehicle and then your vehicle ceases to pass its MOT. Like if you've got a rusty old banger, and it doesn't pass its MOT, then you get a new car. So simply when this body comes to the point where it won't pass its MOT anymore, then the soul will get a new body, you see. So we can see that this love that this man had in the drama was very much conditional, and we can see that generally love in the material world is very much based on so many conditions, I'll fall in love with someone because they're very beautiful and they're very attractive, like that. But when this material body ceases to become attractive, then people fall in love or fall out of love with that person very, very quickly. So we can see in this age as well that people are very much addicted to having things like, like plastic surgery, right? Everyone wants to remain youthful forever, like you see in Hollywood.
Deceiving. It's like that's what we actually think is going to grant us happiness, but it's not. But we're told to believe that if we have that and have that, then we'll be happy and that will make us happy. So it's like society and like a system that we get sucked into.
Yeah, we become conditioned by the way society runs and the way society teaches us how to be.
And then when you're trying to rebel or you do try to eat that you want to become a person in your ego, you feel that it's quite hard, quite hard to kind of
Well, this is the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement, is to teach people the difference between the body and the soul, to teach people that the body is temporary and it has its limitations. You can have happiness in the material body, but it's limited, it's temporary. But the soul, by nature, is ever existing, and its happiness is ever increasing. So this is the movement of this Krishna consciousness movement. That's what it's actually for, to teach people these things. So we can see that because love in the material world is actually very, very conditional, we can see that it doesn't bring satisfaction. The closest thing is explained to real love in the material world is like the love between a mother and her child. Because the mother has to become very, very selfless. She has to give up all selfish desires, you know. The baby's screaming in the night, you know, and the mother has to get up, or the father, of course. The mother or the father, they have to get up, you know. But they have to attend to the child, you know. They have to give up their own comforts, you know. You may want to carry on sleeping in your bed, you know. It's midnight or it's 1 o'clock, you know. But the kid starts screaming, so you have to get up and you have to change its nappy, its diaper, you know, and you have to do all those very relishable things. So you actually see that you have to give up those selfish desires and become selfless. Well, see, the soul by nature is selfless. The soul by nature.
How long do you have? No, you told him that. He was ill, but he's all right now. Is that active God? Is that nature?
So I didn't quite catch what you said.
He was ill for a while, but...
No, not with you. Tell the truth. It's him. He's got a problem. Ask him. Ask the man.
You said your body was ill for some time and now it's getting better.
Is that God?
Well, that's explained. That's our karma. You know, according to the activities we performed in previous lifetimes, then we're due a certain amount of happiness and we're due a certain amount of distress. And like they say, you can't get more than what you're due. What's for you won't go by you. So these things are, to one degree, they're predestined. But in terms of our love and developing real unconditional love, we can see that even for a mother, she still has, it's still conditional love, because when the baby grows older like that, then the mother or the father, they may have many aspirations for their child to become a doctor or to become a lawyer, a scientist. But so often, I mean, who here did everything that their mum and dad wanted them to do? Is anyone here did every single thing that they wanted their mum and dad wanted them to do? Oh, one person. Respectable. Yeah, that's good. Of course, parents want their children to be respectable, but in terms of, sometimes we project onto other people, we want them to do this, we didn't have that for ourselves. But a lot of the time, children, because we're independent, we're individual living entities, will go our own way in life. So sometimes that may cause some disruption or some disharmony in the family. So even this love is also conditional. But it's explained that real love is unconditional. It has no motivation, it has no interruption, and there's nothing placed on it. So this love exists between the living entity and between Krishna, or God, the Supreme Lord, and this love is ever increasing, and it has no limitations. So the purpose of this Krishna consciousness movement is to teach people who they are, that they're not the body, they're spirit, soul, and that they have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna, and that this relationship is based on loving service. And by this simple process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Like behind us here we have this Maha Mantra, which we're all getting you to chant. Then very quickly when we begin to chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, very quickly we can understand that we're not the body, we're not the mind, but we're spirit souls. So it's a very, very simple process. So we shall leave it up to everyone else here to try and employ the process in their own existence. So that's the meaning of this Krishna consciousness movement. And as the afternoon carries on, then hopefully more and more things will be explained. And if you have questions, then also you can ask.
The bottom line of it all is love everyone.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Love will save the world, like John Lennon said.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah, it's explained. It's explained that if one develops love for Krishna, one develops love for God, then automatically one develops love of God's creation, But that doesn't just mean all human beings, that means all living entities, so all animals, all insects, all plants, all aquatic life. If you make that your sole aim to love Krishna, then automatically you develop love for everyone else. And it's unconditional love. So anyway, and we're going to carry on now. If you have more questions, and as the afternoon carries on, then you can carry on asking them questions.
Hare Krishna.
We're getting ready, we're singing this song. Please don't fall asleep at night. It's relaxing. But just by hearing what we call transcendental sound vibration, there's different kinds of sounds. And sound can produce so many different effects. Like if I do this, people will get a fright. Or if I say something nice or somebody's phone goes off, everybody thinks, oh, I've got to answer the phone. By hearing transcendental sound vibration, a vibration which is meant for the glorification of God, automatically one's heart becomes peaceful, one's mind starts to become controlled, and one can feel a different experience, even while we're here, Sunday afternoon, Chorley. Okay? So, we're getting down here. Remember, when we chant Hare Krishna, please take part. Is that okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Gouranga. Gouranga.
So that was called bhajan, and in English language there is no actual equivalent word for a bhajan. The closest we can actually get is like a song of loving devotion or with the sentiment to invoke one's love for God. So while they go and get ready for the next drama, which is called Narad Muni and the Cobbler, I'd like to try and explain a little bit about this Hare Krishna mantra. In the Sanskrit language, the word mantra is divided into two. Mana means one's mind, and tra means to free or to deliver. So in India, there are many mantras. There are many sound vibrations which are used for meditation purposes. There are many sound vibrations which are used to invoke a sense of shanti or peace. There are many sound vibrations which are used in glorification of the Supreme Person. But this mantra is very different because this mantra is actually called the Maha Mantra. And the Maha Mantra means that it is the greatest mantra, the best mantra. So in order to develop and reawaken one's spiritual life, one must first of all come to understand one simple fact. And that fact is that, first of all, we are not this material body. So in this regard, I would like to ask for a volunteer. Do we have any volunteers to help me with this small experiment? Come on in. I thought it was going to be you. Everybody disappears in the experiment. It happens every week. Every month. I'm trying to get this a little higher. What is your name?
Nicole.
This is Nicole. Are you from Chorley?
I am, yes.
Good. It's always good to have a local person for these very strange and wonderful experiments. So don't worry, nothing unusual is going to happen to you. Not until we get the chisel and the hammer out. So I'm going to get to the van and bring the chisel and the hammer.
No, I can't, sorry.
Oh, you
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm going to get mine on in a minute, so we're on equal terms. But we'll do the experiment. Okay, Nicole.
Yep.
This is going to be painless for you. It usually is. Okay.
Okay.
So everybody agrees this is Nicole, although she's only told that she's Nicole. She could be Samantha from, Liverpool for all we know. But this is Nicole from Chorley. Everybody give her a round of applause for because she doesn't actually know what she's let herself in for. Neither do I. So Nicole, we're going to ask you a very simple question, which is very easy to answer. Please point to your right leg. You sure that's the right one?
Yeah.
It's usually the one next to the left one, right? So yeah, everybody agree this is Nicole's right leg?
Yes.
Shut up. Pay them to do this, they just come to get fed at the end. Yeah, everyone. Audience, does everybody believe this is Nicole's right leg? Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole, point to your left arm. We have to think about that. Right's easy, left is a bit dodgy. Everybody agree? Yeah. What do you agree? I haven't said anything yet. Everyone agree that this is Nicole's left arm, right? Yeah. Nicole, point to your head. Everybody agree this is Nicole's head? Are you sure? Nobody else's head, right?
That's right.
Okay. Nicole, point to your chest. Does everyone agree this is Nicole's chest? Yeah. Are you sure? Come on,
Yeah. It's a bit like Punch and Judy, this. Okay, now Nicole, please point to you. No. These are parts that are making up your component parts. This is always what everybody does. They either go like this with some kind of artistic motion, which is very good, or they stand and they go like, I'm not quite sure where to point to. Because although Nicole has a body, she can point to her right leg, her left arm, her head, her chest. You could have got her to do her nose and other parts of her body. But if we were to remove, hopefully it will never happen to you, this is not a curse of any kind, that, say for instance she was to lose an arm, which many people do unfortunately, would it make her any less of a person? You sure?
Yeah.
Wouldn't make her any less of a person. If she was to lose an arm and a leg, would it make her any less of a person?
No.
Why?
Mind.
It does change your mind.
She could lose her mind as well.
You can't see me real weak.
No, because you're there behind your screen.
Yeah, but she's not lost the soul.
Person's not the body.
Thank you. Give her a hand. See, the point that we're making is that we unconsciously even accept that we are not this body because we say, I have an arm, right? Nobody walks around going, I am an arm, do they? Anybody in here walk around Chorley going, I am an arm, I'm an arm, I'm an arm? You do. There, we've got one. There's one in every town, believe it or not. There's always one. Does anybody walk around going, I'm a head? Well, you probably do that as well. Anybody going around going, I'm a head, I'm a head, I'm a head? No. I'm a leg. Even do you walk around saying, I'm a body? Does anybody walk around, when somebody asks you who you are, say, oh well, I'm a body? No. Because even subconsciously we're starting to understand that we're something different. And as the Bhagavad Gita explains, the body grows. Like we have so many little children here today. They're all very cute and cuddly. Give them 20 years, they probably won't be that cuddly anymore. And then by that time they're 24, 25, Krishna explains the Hinusmin Yatade He Komaram Yoganam Jara. These are different stages. Say that again? No. This is a slightly different. We'll tell you what we're singing later. But this Komaram Yoganam Jara, these are 3 steps. Komara means baby. Komar means one's youthful age. When one is growing up, babies are always very nice. But then the baby's body finishes. Like Nicole, how old are you now?
23.
That's not too bad. Okay. Before that, she was 6 months. Did she wear glasses and have nice hair at that age? No. The body is changing. The body is constantly changing. Then after the Kumar age comes the Yoganam, or one's youth. One has youthful energy, one hits the age of say 17, 18, 19, 20, from that point on to about, depends where you live I suppose and how you treat your body. Normally to around 40, they say old age begins at 40, right? So mine hasn't quite started yet. So one is youthful, Komaram, Yoganam, one has youth, and then Jara comes. Jara means, what does Jara mean? Old age. So birth, growth, youthfulness, old age, and then finally Krishna says, what is the next part? Dehant. Dehantara praptiya. Dhiras satra namoyate. He says that one must leave that body. Can anybody tell me of anyone they know who hasn't left their body? I mean, not yet, you're all still here. But it's a fact. It's a natural fact that this is what is going to happen. Your body will be born, your body will grow, your body will develop, your mind, your intelligence, everything develops to the point where one has to give up this particular body that we now inhabit. So this Hare Krishna mantra, this chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, actually develops our knowledge and our understanding of the self, that which is beyond the body. It actually starts to help us redevelop, reawaken our lost Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, who is our founding spiritual master, he told us that Krishna consciousness is not an artificial thing. It's not an artificial imposition on your mind or your intellect. It is actually the actual nature of all living entities is to be God conscious. We've just forgotten. That's all. So by chanting Hare Krishna, one starts to develop again that lost sense of consciousness of being eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge, and having a loving relationship with the Supreme Being. That Supreme Being in the Sanskrit language of India is known as Krishna. Krishna means the one who is all attractive. Everybody wants to be attached to that person. In this next drama we're going to hear of a personality called Narad Muni. Narad Muni, his spiritual master, explained this term Bhagavan, which is a name by which Krishna is known, as one who possesses 6 qualities in full. That's 6, right? Yeah. All beauty, all strength, all knowledge, all renunciation. What are the others again? Fame, yeah, and that's it. That's all 6. So the person who possesses those qualities in full is called God. Whether you call him Krishna, Allah, Jehovah, Yahweh, so many names, but only one person. So this Krishna consciousness movement introduces the chanting of Hare Krishna to introduce people back to their actual self, and therefore they can start to experience a happiness, a satisfaction, and the bliss that you can't get in any material pursuit. Anybody in the room not like being happy? Any miserable people here? Must be some Scotsmen somewhere. Me? Everybody wants to be happy. Nobody really wants to pay to be happy either, and you shouldn't have to, because that is our inherent quality in nature. Are you ready back there? Narad Muni. That's not boring as out here today. Are you ready? Okay. So we'll leave you with Narad Muni and the Gouranga, then we'll continue our discussion afterwards, okay? So again, thank you very much. Hare Krishna! No. Hands up. Run the pockets. Now they've got their hands in the air, okay? Everybody, deep breath. Now we'll see who chokes first. After me, Hare Krishna! Narad Muni in the pocket.
There you are. Well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Suresh Joshi, and I'm the most I'm the most qualified Brahmin in the whole of Chorley. I've performed more sacrifices and done many pujas and worship of the Lord, so I'm very qualified. I'm sure you'll appreciate it. And there is a rumor going around saying that people are saying I'm puffed up, but it's not true. It's not true what they say about me. Now, I'm a very busy man, and as you see, I've got to do a lot of worship. Sarvabhayantara Suchi, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Good God, is that the time? I think it's time for me to have lunch. I'm very regulated, and everything I do is on time.
Bang on the boot, Bhajan. Bang on the boot, and I sing the Bhajan. Govinda Jaya Jayo, Gopala Jaya Jayo, Radha Hare, Govinda Jaya Jayo. I sell CDs as well. Every day I bang the boot, sing the bhajan, and Lord the Lion, he stands me chapati, and I'm happy, and my life is simple. Govinda Jaya Jayo, Gopala Jaya Jayo. The Lord is so kind, so very kind. Radha there you are. Allow me to let you into a little secret. I've been doing these pujas and worship for a very long time, and now I think I'm going to get liberation. But I'm not sure whether it will be this week or maybe next week. So. But today I'm going to do my 10,000th puja. So everybody has to give you some support.
Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman.
Oh, who is that? Who is that entering my house? Oh. Narad Muni, very nice, Narad, very nice for you to call by. Yes, I will accept your obeisances. Yes, you're very fortunate because today I have done the 10,000 puja. So that means I will be due for liberation any moment. Which way are you headed, Narad?
Well, actually, I was on the way to Vaikuntha to see our Lord Narayan, and I was wondering whether I can ask anything from him on your behalf.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's very good timing. Actually, there is something you could ask Lord Narayan when you go to visit him. I'm due for liberation very soon, I know that. But I just want to clarify whether it will be this week or will it be next week. Because I have a lot of my itinerary, I have to make my schedule very clear, you see. So I need to find out.
Certainly I'll take time to ask the Lord that question.
Yeah, that would be very good. Now, I don't want to keep you, I know you're very busy, and I'm very busy as you can see. So, we'll see you later now.
Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika
Banging the boot and just waiting for something to happen. Something to happen. Something to happen! Oh, oh, in the jungle! Oh, Nana, please, take a seat now. Can I fix your shoes? Fix your feet? Can I do something for you? Would you like a cup of pom? Some pom, Nana. Some pom.
No. Bhajan.
Yeah?
I'm just on the way to see our Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha.
Narayan!
I was wondering, is there anything I can ask the Lord on your behalf, Bhajan?
The Lord is very kind. I have everything I need. There's nothing you can ask the Lord for me.
Yes, I can see you're satisfied, but I think there's one little thing that you're wondering about, Bhajan.
Nara, you are very intelligent. It is true, Nara. Every day, when I offer my prayers to the Lord, I wonder how many millions of lifetimes before I will get sick of darshan. That is all I wonder, Nara.
So rest assured, Bhajan, I will ask the Lord that question.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Govinda Jaya Jayo, Gopala Jaya Jayo, Radharamana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jayo. What a kind Lord, and what a very, very kind devotee. Narayana.
Yes, my Lord?
What brings you to my sacred abode, Vaikuntha?
My Lord, I've just come to gain your most blessed darshan.
Would you like me to offer you some special benediction, Narada Muni?
Having seen your wonderful form, my Lord, what further benediction could I desire? However, on my way here to Vaikuntha, I met two interesting personalities. One was Suresh Joshi.
Ah, Suresh Joshi. Yes, I know this pandit very well.
He was wondering when you would be awarding him liberation, my Lord. Would it be at the end of this week, or would it be at the end of the month?
Narada, you can tell our friend Suresh Joshi that he will get my darshan, but it will be in as many lifetimes as there are leaves in the great banyan tree.
Yes, my Lord, I will tell him when I return. And I also met a very wonderful character called Bang on the Boots Bhajan.
Ah, yes, I know this cobbler very well.
He also was asking how many lifetimes, how many millions of lifetimes he would have to pass in this material world before gaining your darshan.
You can tell our friend the Cobra that he will see his Lord at the end of this very lifetime.
Thank you, my Lord.
One thing, Narad, when you go back to see these personalities, both of them will ask you what their Lord Narayan was doing when you saw him in this transcendental abode. I want you to tell them, Narad, that you saw your Lord threading an elephant through the eye of a needle.
Threading an elephant through the eye of a needle, my Lord? Yes, certainly I'll tell them both.
Thank you, Narad, my God, my blessings.
Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Radhika Raman, Jaya Radhika Raman, Jaya
Today is a very special day. Today I'm going to do 2 pujas in the endeavor it takes to have 1 puja. So 2 for the price of 1. To make double the advancement of this thing. Oh, Naraji, you are back so quickly. Very good, Narad. My dear Narad, I'm very happy that you have arrived so quickly. What did the Lord say? Am I going to get liberation today?
Lord Narayan said you would gain liberation.
Yes, I know I will gain liberation, but when?
In as many lifetimes as there are leaves on the great banyan tree.
In as many lifetimes as there are leaves on a banyan tree? But there are thousands of leaves on a banyan tree. No, that can't be right. I'm very learned, very qualified. I've done all the pujas, I've studied everything. I should be getting liberation. Now, Narad, if you are actually Narad Muni, and you actually went to see Lord Narayan, can you answer this question? What was Lord Narayan doing when you saw him?
Lord Narayan was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle.
Ah, very interesting. Lord Narayan was threading a huge elephant through the eye of a needle. Ah, very good. Do you think I was born yesterday? Who can thread a huge elephant through the eye of a needle?
Lord Narayan can do such a thing.
You have wasted my time, and I don't believe you're Narada Muni. You're an imposter. Now, if you want to play some childish pranks, I suggest you go and bother other people who have no valuable things to do with their good time. And if you could vacate my premises, I would appreciate it very much. I'm doing a very special puja, and he's coming and saying elephants through the eye of a needle. What is the world coming? Oh. Oh.
Look at back from Vaikuntha. What happened? Did you see the Lord?
Yes, I saw our Lord Narayan in Vaikuntha.
Did you?
Yes, I have wonderful news for you. He said that you would see him face to face at the end of this lifetime.
The Lord is so kind. So kind. Tell me, Dad, when you saw Lord Narayan, what was he doing?
He was threading an elephant through the eye of a needle. You're not surprised, Rajan?
Surprised, Dad? No, I'm not surprised. Lord Narayan, the same personality who puts the huge banyan tree into a tiny seed. To put an elephant, to put a herd of elephants through an eye of a needle. No, I'm not in the least bit surprised.
Oh, now I can understand why our Lord is so eager to reward your liberation.
Narad, would you care to join me?
Yes, let us sing the glories of the Lord.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Gopal. Get the hang of it now, you get the hang of it. Govinda Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya.
So basically the understanding is that if one lives a very simple life and makes inquiries about how to learn about his relationship with God and does as Krishna asks, then one can see one's Lord face to face even at the end of this one very lifetime. But on the other hand, if one becomes proud, puffed up, as we use the terminology, full of self-aggrandizement, thinking oneself to be more important than everything else which exists, then one develops this very bad, proud mentality. And that will not at all help one develop one's love for God. Krishna, he explains in the Bhagavad Gita what he's actually looking for. And he's looking for two very simple things. Very, very simple. He's looking for some submission or some supplication, for people to recognize that one, they're not really in control of their day-to-day destiny, or to speak of their eternal destiny. And two, he's looking that everyone would offer him a little service, something to show one's appreciation that God exists, that we are parts and parcels of God, and that our duty, or in our best self-interest, is our goal to render some loving service to Krishna. Very simple, extremely simple. Krishna also explains in the Bhagavad Gita that by offering him fruits, flower, water, leaves, these are the things which Krishna accepts. Everyone has to eat. So therefore, Krishna says, sure, eat these things. Vegetarian foodstuffs, nice things which you can offer to me. By doing that, you will develop compassion. You will develop appreciation and also love for all living entities, because if one is engaged in the act of killing, then one cannot appreciate other living entities, their life, and that they are also part of God's creation. Krishna explains these things very, very simply. Just absorb your mind in thinking of me. Worship me. Bow before me. Offer your homage to me. Thus, I promise you, you will come to me. So we had two very different persons, and the character or the nature of the cobbler was that, very simple and dependent upon Krishna's mercy. So here we are, we've all come together, we all have some interest in spiritual life, or at least beginning to understand spiritual life. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come. Some People, they come along just to see the guys in the dresses with the funny haircuts and playing the mad song, you know, this Hare Krishna thing, you know. Imagine chanting the same thing over and over all day. They must be nuts, you know. Some people have that idea. But behind the chanting and the dress and the way of life is a very, very ancient philosophy. A very, very scientific philosophy that, if you put into practice, the result is guaranteed. Like when you go to school, they don't just let anybody loose in the chemistry lab, do they? They don't just give you free access to all different chemicals and tell you to mix them together as you please. Otherwise, you're in for a shock. If someone says to you, create water, for someone who knows the scientific formula for water, it's H2O, right? So you need some components. You need to be able to put them together. You need to be able to manipulate the ingredients which God has already put in existence to create this substance. But you can only do that when you know how to do it, or when you've been taught how to do it, you've learned how to do it. Then your experiment is perfect. There's no point in doing H3O, H4O, H1O, or some other combination. You don't get the proper result. So Krishna, out of his kindness and his compassion upon the living entities on the earth planet, he came and he spoke this Bhagavad Gita, which is available on the book table, meaning the Song of God. And there he gives the entire science of how to, first of all, understand who we are, and secondly, understand who he is, and then greatest of all, to understand what our relationship to him is. Bhagavad Gita was spoken over 5,000 years ago, and it is still very relevant to today's society because it gives basic, absolute truth that no one can deny. All these different facts and figures and experiments and things we've done today are to try to introduce us to the idea that there are some basic principles in this life that we cannot escape. Like right now we're all sitting here in the room and we're feeling the effects of nature's law called gravity. Can anyone see gravity? Can anyone really say that they can create gravity? But if you take the gravity from the room, everybody's going to hit the roof, right? Because that's a natural principle. It is something that goes by day by day by day that we don't even think of. It's there. So God's law is also there. All these indications that we're trying to give today of birth, growth, maintenance, producing children, dwindling, dying, these are all basic facts of life. For everyone, no one is free from them. But Krishna is telling us that this is only the effects of the material body. He also explains how that the soul, the Atma, the Jiva within the body is an eternal principle. Two pieces of matter cannot create matter. We have these lovely little pieces of metal, right? Now if I put these guys together in a room, one female, one male, and we play them nice music, get them intoxicated, whatever you feel like you want to do with them, we're not going to go in tomorrow and find little pieces of metal, are we? Or even in 9 months' time, they're not going to produce little bits of metal. Why? Because matter cannot give life. The evidence that life, that the soul exists, is that matter is animated. The difference between a body 5 minutes before death and 5 minutes after is this principle of the jiva, of the soul. The soul is actually left. So therefore, that which gives life to this body is not a material principle, it's a spiritual principle. And Bhagavad Gita is there to help us understand this principle. This chanting of Hare Krishna is also there to help us understand this principle. And it's very easy, and like we said, it's free. Just by setting aside a little time every day, whatever time you all have different lives, I have a different life, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever you can put aside somehow or other, chant Hare Krishna and try to develop your understanding of Krishna by reading his words. Then, as we actually put into practice what Krishna is saying, the scientific result comes. He's the teacher, he's the guru, he's the person who knows, he's the one in knowledge. If we follow, then the result will come. It's very simple. Look what happened to me. Oh dear. Before, I lived outside, I didn't live in a temple, I didn't shave my head, I didn't wear a nappy covered in the day suit. You know, what happened? Some guy came and brainwashed me, right? That's the normal answer. Oh, look at him. I said, well, it's possible, but it's not that easy. Trying to get people to give up their independence, as they call it, is not an easy thing. But by putting into practice what Krishna asks, automatically the result is there. And Krishna explains that one experiences what is called param drishta, or means a higher taste. Like we've touched on throughout the day, people are searching for pleasure, they're searching for happiness, they're searching for satisfaction in many things. They say, have this old saying, like, one man's pleasure is another man's poison, right? But in spiritual life, when one actually starts to gain a taste for practicing spiritual activity, there's no question that it's not tangible, that it's not real, and that one will become attracted to lower tastes. This is what we seek. We're seeking to become lovers of Krishna. So simply by chanting this Maha Mantra, that can automatically take place. We're here for no other reason today than to convince you to please put a little time aside every day to chant this mantra and see what a difference it will make in your life. That is all.
Do you have to believe in God to chant it?
No. You can believe in David Beckham. I thought that would go down well in Chorley. You can believe in anything. But by chanting this mantra, there's a very beautiful story in that regard, though we won't tell in full because it's far too long. In Hindi or Sanskrit, I can't remember, Mara means death, right? Mar means death. So there was one time one person who didn't believe that God existed, and this idea of spiritual liberation was like, but he knew that he had to die. Everybody knows that, everybody accepts that. So one sage or one great intelligent person who was a spiritualist, he came along and he said, okay, so you know that you have to die, so just say to yourself and think about it, consider what your future will be, but use this word Mara, 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 and just say that and see what happens. Figure out, you know you're going to die, so just meditate upon you dying. So the guy took the instructions seriously. This is a very broad interpretation of the story, very short. And they started chanting Mara, 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 Rama, 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 and it started to turn into Ram, right? Rama, 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 and the two sounded practically the same. They are the same words. And then just by chanting this Mara, which turned into Ram, he became liberated. So you don't have to believe that God exists. By chanting God's name. The Maha Mantra has the potency to develop and reawaken one's love for Krishna, which is dormant within your heart. It is already there. It's not something you have to purchase. You don't have to go to the bank. You don't have to do anything. It's already there. You just have to uncover it. That's all. There's one very nice Bengali sloka where it says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadevagni Varpanam. This chanting of Hare Krishna cleanses the mirror of one's heart. It is a cleansing process. It is a purificatory process. Just simply by chanting, one uncovers one's lost love for Krishna. That's how simple it is. Yeah?
Is it because it hits a certain frequency?
No, it's got nothing to do with the frequency.
Because I read that it's like a matches of like words of power, but when you chant it over and over again, it hits a certain frequency and it cleanses the system.
Which book did you read that in? The Sun's Guide to Mantra Chanting? There are many books which say many things, you know, but one has to understand what is authorized and what is bona fide. Like, for instance, I just came back a few weeks ago from Kathmandu in Nepal, and there they have one of the biggest bookstores in the world called the Pilgrim's Book House. And you can spend days in that place. Just in the section in Hinduism is about the size of half of this room. And that's only one section. There's sections on Christianity, Buddhism, yoga, meditation, you name it, it's there. You can find it. But one must learn the science of absolute truth from a person who knows it. This is what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidi pranipati na pariprashnena sevaya. And you must find a person who's called Tattvadarshi, or one who knows the truth. When you come across such a person, that person can reveal to you your lost, loving relationship with Krishna. And the first thing he will ask you to do is chant that mantra. Now, it's nothing to do with the frequency. You know, some people's pitch or voice is different. Like my voice is different from your voice. You know, if someone comes up here and grabs me around the backside, then my voice will go up. It will not depend on the frequency of the mantra. It depends on how purely and with the degree of sincerity and surrender that one chants the mantra, how quickly one will rediscover their Krishna consciousness. It's nothing to do with the frequency. Of course, it's always your attitude. That's what the whole meaning of this drama. There were two people with two entirely different attitudes, but they wanted to attain the same destination. But only one person was able to at that particular time. The other person will in due course of time, but it will take a long time because he has to purify his attitude. Whereas the person with the correct attitude attains perfection very quickly.
So to start to purify yourself, to be able to have the correct attitude, because I can see it when I keep falling back into the wrong one, chant Hare Krishna.
That's it. Just keep chanting. Whenever things go right, things go wrong, Krishna teaches us not to become attached to right and wrong, duality, heat, cold, pleasure, pain. Whatever happens, whatever comes your way, you remain fixed on this mantra, and Krishna will deliver you.
If you've ever got to walk a long distance, chant that, and it makes the time pass a lot quicker, and it makes you smile when you're walking.
But that sounds like realized understanding. You must have done that before.
I've done it for a long time now. A long, long time.
So this is what we're saying, practical experience. Yeah, at the back row, you got your hand up.
Where does the Hare Krishna mantra come from?
The Hare Krishna mantra comes directly from Krishna, from the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, because these names, Hare, Krishna and Rama, are actually names which are non-different from Krishna, they have existed eternally. This is a concept in the material world where normally an object and its name are two different things. Like we sometimes do this little experiment. Like my little Mexican friend up here. Come on. Anybody speaking any Hindi? Who's speaking Hindi? Come on then. We have a Hindi person as well. I'd just like to bring him on the stage. He's always so happy. Look at that. Here's my Hindi friend. Anybody speaking any other language? We've got Hungarian somewhere. They've all disappeared. Just when you need them. Who's speaking something else? Any other languages in the room? No? Who?
I can speak German.
Come on then, bring a German up here. Come on. It's going to be very quick actually.
Well, I don't know what you want me to say.
We want you to say, please sir, may I have 52 chapatis in German?
Okay,
no, we don't.
Bitte meine, darf ich 52 Chapatis haben, bitte?
Actually, what I want you to do is tell me what this thing is in German. What would you say in German for this?
Microphone, same word.
Say?
Microphone.
Microphone. Just a little difference.
Same word.
For me, it's a microphone. For a German, it's microphone. For him, it's
microfono.
Microfono. There you go. And for him? The Indies don't have a word for me. I know that actually. It just brought me here for the hell of it. Okay, you want to sit back down, everybody? It's the same object, right? But according to the language, it's known by a different name, although most of it is borrowed. You know, microphone, microfono, and Hindi, they don't have one, right? But the name and the object are different. In the spiritual world, the name and the object are exactly the same. Eventually, by chanting Krishna's name, one will see Krishna, because the sound vibration is non-different. Devotees, they sometimes give this example that if one wants to become quenched of one's thirst, if you sit there for the next half an hour, some people may be thirsty, and chant water, 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 you'll all be nuts. But you won't become quenched of your thirst. There's absolutely no way that's going to happen. By chanting the word, because the word and the substance are different, the relief does not come. But because God and His name are the exact same, then the spiritual potency of Krishna is as prevalent in His form as it is in His name, that by chanting that name, one will attain all the benefits that one could possibly imagine of even seeing the Supreme Lord face to face. That's how good it is. That's why we're doing what we're doing. I wouldn't do this if I didn't get in for it. It must be nuts. That's have to be completely cuckoo. It's Chorley after all. We never have a dull day in Chorley. So please, we're getting a little late, and I don't know what time you have to leave, so I think we better conclude here. We thank you all for being such wonderful people and for staying with us for so long. For some of you it may have been enlightening, for some it may have been a little tedious, maybe even a little boring at times.
Are you going to do the song again?
You're going to come up here and sing. Come on, you've got to do another one. The last part now is that we're actually going to do the song. Yeah. So this time, I didn't even get finished thanking you. Wait a minute. I need to go back to that. Yeah, we need to thank you. This is our life. This isn't a job. It's not something we do on a Sunday. We do it every day. But without you, we can do this in the temple. We can do this in the car park. We do it at airports and we get arrested. I mean, we do it wherever we like, basically, because Krishna's in control. So we thank you, and again the basis is please chant the Hare Krishna. Now we're going to end with the final session of chanting, but we want you really to join us this time. So we're going to teach you a dance as well as a chant this time. So, and then this is the point where we make you sing for your supper, because after the chanting then we take everybody next door and feed them. Okay? So we're going to chant, or we're going to get everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and we're going to ask you all to kindly push the chairs aside, stand up, come forward. We're going to teach you a dance as well, okay? Everybody. There you go, everybody, let's start swaying back and forth. That sounds like an aerobics video. What a shame it is, my goodness. Obviously the video didn't work. So everybody, hands in the air. You can go as much as you like once we start, but for now we're just going to go for the simple left and right and left and right. I'm feeling like some American. Okay, so everybody after me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna
Krishna, Hare